John Simpson. Hey, Holly. I'm the volunteer chair for the Sporting Clays Classic. I want to thank all of y'all for taking the time to come out tonight and for volunteering the day of the tournament. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to Scouts. It's a huge operation that couldn't go down successfully without you all the day of the tournament. So thank you. The Sporting Clays Classic raises $250,000, $275,000 for the Atlanta Area Council. That money goes towards programs like Woodruff Scout Camp, Scout Reach, which is a program starting up Scout troops in urban areas for low-income, at-risk youth. It supports a group of 32,000 Scouts, 11,000 volunteers. So it has a huge impact. There are a lot of people that benefit from everything that we do the day of the tournament. I want to thank Low Country Barbecue for being our food sponsor tonight. They came through strongly. It's delicious. Tonight we're just going to run through the day of, what to expect, the important details. So I will go ahead and get started. So tournament day, y'all all probably already know this. It's Friday, October 24th at Barnsley Gardens, which is outside of Adairsville. From 75 to 85, it probably takes about an hour 15. So keep that in mind, or Matt Questic, Google it. We're going to ask volunteers this year to get there at 8:30. It's been 8 o'clock in the past. We're starting the tournament 30 minutes later this year. So there at 8:30 to sign in. There'll be a tent there that'll say volunteers. Just sign down your name. You'll get all the stuff that you need, including ear protection, eye protection. If you have reading glasses or sunglasses, that's fine as eye protection. And then on the other side, end of the day will be closer to 4:30 instead of 4 o'clock this year. We do have the kickoff party again. It'll be at the retreat at Perimeter Summit. It's always a great event, good food, good beer, great auction items. Each of you gets 2 tickets as a small thank you for lending your time for the tournament. You can pick those up tonight, I believe. That's correct. See any of the folks behind the tables. It starts at 7 o'clock, and that is the Wednesday before the tournament. Sporting Clays. How many of you are new to Sporting Clays or never volunteered for the tournament? Okay, a few people. Easiest way to describe it is it's golf with a shotgun. So just like with golf, we'll have 17 stations instead of 18 holes. We'll have 2 courses, so a total of 34 stations. So volunteers will run those stations. There'll be 2 volunteers per station. What goes on with a station is a team will walk up, a team of 4 people. They'll hand you a scorecard. The one volunteer will keep score for the shooters. The other volunteer will pull the traps, which throw the clays out. So they'll walk up. First person will step in the box, and they'll say pull. The volunteer throwing the clays will pull the first one, it'll go out. Shooter will shoot it, and as soon as you hear the shot, you pull the second clay, and they shoot it. And then they do that twice, so they shoot 4 clays total. And then they step out, and the next shooter steps in and does the same thing. Let's see. So, safety. It's top priority. And so I'm going to bring a professional up to go over it with you. Everyone help me welcome Skip Smith, who heads up shooting at Denver.
I'm glad he didn't see expert. I hate expert. Well, good evening, everybody. Those of you who don't know me, thank you for Lucky Stars. For those of you that do know me, it'll be a short. I won't be very long. As everybody here involved with the Scouts knows, over the last few years, what we've done the tournament, our number one thing at Barnsley, or at any shooting ground, or any shooting venue, is safety. That's top priority. It's your safety, it's the shooter's safety, it's everybody in the area's safety, it is our livelihood. So we take that very, very serious, as you should too. There's different types of shotguns that will be up on sporting clay scores. There'll be semi-automatics, there'll be pump guns, there'll be break-open guns. The semi-automatic, it's got to have, when you pick that gun up, it's got to have the action open, so that everybody in the world can see that that gun is open. If there was a shell in there somewhere, there's no way that could fire. So your first thing when you pick the gun up is to check to make sure it's open. You should see that there is no shells in it. And so when you're walking with this gun, we prefer that you have the muzzle down, so that if there is an action, it's directed towards the ground, not left, right, or up in the air. Not that there's going to be an accident, but always err in the side of safety. And when you get to the gun rack, there'll be a gun rack at every stand. When you get to the gun rack, point it up and set it down on that gun rack. And when you pick it up, before you start to walk, I'd like you to pick it up, check to make sure it's empty, and point it back down again. And as John said, when you walk into the shooting stand, you're going to walk into a wooden structure like an H-frame. When you walk in, there's going to be a bar. You're going to put the gun out front of the bar. You're going to load 2. You're going to allow them to only load 2. You're going to allow them to only load 2. Okay? You're going to allow them to only load 2. Okay? This gun might hold 4 or 5. 2. They're going to load 2. They're going to close the action. They're going to take the safety out. They're going to say the magic word pull. You launch the first target. Within 3 seconds of hearing the shot go off, you launch the second target. They're going to load 2 again, but only 2. Right? And you're going to repeat that. Before they walk out of the stand, part of your responsibility, especially with semi-automatics or any gun, is to make sure that that action is locked open. If that gun, when they start to walk out, is like that, that means danger. There's a chance there's a live round in there. You make sure while they're still standing in the H-frame with the gun pointed down range, that they clear that gun for you. Now, should somebody have a malfunction where the gun won't fire, now they got the gun loaded, they call pull, and they pull the trigger, and nothing happens. Their first inclination is going to be, wow, I wonder what's happening. You make sure that you're in a position where you can make sure that gun stays down range. You have to reach in and grab the stock so they can't pull it back out. And then if you're not sure what to do, grab one of our staff and we'll help clear the gun if you need, or John, or Jim, whoever's around that's of some knowledge with firearms. Don't let that individual walk out of that stand with that gun closed. Make sure they clear the gun. And then when they step back, they're going to step back, and I ask them to drop the muzzle down, so when they turn around, there's no gun pointed at anybody at any time. The second type of shotgun is a break-open gun. It can be an over and under, it can be a side-by-side. You'll see some people out there with side-by-side. Same thing, as this gun is sitting in the rack, you can't tell if it's loaded or not. When they walk up and put it in the rack, you're busy scoring, you're busy recording the scores, people walking behind you, you don't know if that gun's loaded. And 100% of them don't know it's loaded either. Their first thing is to pick the gun up, before they start to walk, point the gun up, open it, make sure it's clear. They're going to walk in to that same H-frame, and they're going to put the gun out front. And they load, they close, they fire without stepping back. They're going to break the gun open. So they're going to close, they're going to fire 2 shots, while their feet are still set, they're going to open it up, and they're going to load again. If they try to step back and load that gun, as they load it, and then they're going to bang into the frame, if their fingers near the trigger and the safety's off, something not good could happen. It's going to go off near their feet, near your feet, near a machine. right? Everybody's going to get real nervous, especially me. Here. So make sure they keep the gun out front where it's controlled. And again, the same thing. If they go to fire this gun and it doesn't fire, be where you can stop them from coming back out of the cage with it. This gun might be a little bit easier to reach up, hit the lever, and clear it. But you do want to be able to be in position where you can keep them from walking out of the cage with a potentially loaded gun. There's not going to be any true pairs, so there's not going to be a chance that they break both targets with one shot, because there will be one target in the air. But again, people they'll get excited, they'll lose count. They'll lose count, and they'll want to walk out of the cage with a loaded gun. Your job is to make sure, please, they don't do that. And again, when they're done, you're going to have them open the gun, they're going to step back, they're going to drop the muzzle, when they turn around, they walk out with the muzzle pointed down, not pointed at anybody. And we're going to give a talk before the shoot. I'm going to ask people that are shooting these guns if they want to carry them over their shoulder, they always carry the barrels forward. That way you know the gun is forward, they can see the whole gun. This doesn't look quite as cool, and if you're behind them, it's really not cool at all. You got a gun in your face, and they're just bebopping along, and you're back there trying to dive. You don't know if it's loaded or not. If anybody has a gun in their hand, they're responsible for everybody's safety. If there's 400 people out there on that day, they're responsible for 400 people's safety. That means the gun's got to be presented as being safe. If they have a gun in their hand, they have to have full view of the gun, because this is the business end. If they're not looking at the business end, they can't see it, they're not in control. The other thing is, you're going to have both 12 and 20 gauge ammo at your stations. So they would be positioned next to the cage, one side or the other. You have to make sure that you ask the shooter what gauge gun they're shooting. 20 gauge shells are always yellow. It doesn't matter where in the world you buy a 20 gauge shell, it is yellow. And the reason for that is so anybody can identify that, so it doesn't go into a 12 gauge gun. Because in the haste, you put a 20 gauge shell in there and you put it in there and you pull it and you go click. You go, oh, I didn't load it. You open it up and you don't look, you put a 12 gauge in behind it. You just created a pipe bomb. Okay? Because when that goes off, it will go off. It'll fire the 12 gauge shell, it'll fire the 20 gauge shell, and it's right there by your hand, and it's right there in front of your face. And there's no shotgun in the world designed to take that much pressure at that time. It will come apart. Okay, so make sure you ask each shooter, 12 or 20 gauge. My suggestion is, and I would really like your help with this, if they're shooting a 12 gauge gun, there is no 20 gauge shells up on the cage. That way there's no chance that somebody's going to, in haste, reach into that yellow box and put that in their gun. All right? So we need your help with that, because you're the front line, you're right there, you're seeing it all. So if you're the trapper, you need to pay attention to that, because the scorekeeper is going to be keeping score. So that scorekeeper, they're going to be busy keeping score, and yes, they need to be looking out for safety as well, but the trappers really need control of that. And if you see that happen, you have control of the buttons, which means you don't have to push a button. If you see something unsafe, don't let them shoot. Now that also includes earplugs and glasses. People can wear their street glasses, they can wear their sunglasses. We don't care as long as they have them on, but they will have them on. They have to have hearing protection. There will be plenty of it available that day of the shoot. All of our staff who's going up and down both courses will have extra earplugs and glasses with them. No one, absolutely no one is allowed to shoot unless they have glasses and earplugs. I would ask you to look at the group standing next to you that's shooting. Everyone must have glasses and earplugs. If they don't, you don't push the button. If they refuse, you get a whole more cost. When you pull the trigger on that shotgun, you're throwing out 400 to 600 BBs that are leaving that gun at 800 miles an hour. If you ever cut one of these shells apart, those BBs are much smaller than a BB gun BB. We were shooting in the woods, which means trees, rocks, stumps, you name it. Right? Some shots are on the ground, some shots are in the woods. There's always a chance of ricocheting. You never see it coming at you. It doesn't necessarily mean the person standing in the cage is going to get the ricochet. It could be somebody 20 yards behind you, 10 or 20 yards up and down either side. You don't know when it's going to happen, you don't know where it's going to happen, you don't know if it's going to happen. for their safety, for yours, for our safety, make sure they have glasses on. So when they approach the cage, first thing you want to do is kind of glance at them, glasses, earplugs. If they don't have them on, you don't push the button. It's just that simple. You can really help us out with that. Now, one thing that John, I don't know if he's going to mention it later, but as each squad walks up, as a group, they get one show pair. So the first shooter's going to walk in, the gun's still empty. They will call for each target. You show them the flight of each target. We want them to know what the target looks like. We want them to know basically where it's coming from and where it's going, so there's no surprise. They get up there and they load the gun and they go, where's that target? Okay? And they see it get launched and they pull the trigger and they shoot through the woods at a machine. They're a little costly. So we want them to know where it's going to come from. But only the first shooter gets to see one pair. If every shooter in the group wants to see one pair, we just double the cost of the targets. You slow down the whole group, and it makes everything really slow. So please, kind of adhere to that. A lot of the stations are going to have two teams starting out, especially at the beginning of the shoot. You're going to have two squads standing with you. When you hear the air horn go off, that means we can start shooting. Let both squads be in position where they can see the flight of the target. When the second squad walks up, they will have seen the show pair plus 4 shooters ahead of them. Now, you can show them the show pair, but in reality, they should have seen it enough where they can step in and move along. I would also ask, as enthusiastic as you are, don't be an instructor. Okay? And don't be an instructor. Don't say, well, everybody's shooting this target here and everybody's shooting that target there, and I think it takes this much lead. You don't do that. Don't do that. It slows the whole thing up. And when I go to a tournament and I shoot, and the person there scoring says, you want to break this target first, I turn to him and I say, shh, it's my money. If I miss it, it's my fault. I want to figure it out. That's part of the game. But if you do that and try to be an instructor for everybody, try to be helpful for everybody, you kind of slow up the whole process. If at any time, and it's never happened and I don't expect it will, if at any time you have somebody who just will not pay attention to the safety rules, again, get a hold of one of us. If they persist in that, we will not allow them to shoot at our facility. I mean, they won't shoot that day. They will never shoot in the future. It's just long and short. There is absolutely no room for that in this sport, and you will not find many people in this sport that will push that issue. There's a lot of people that know it all. That's why I didn't want to be called an expert. Okay, I'm still learning. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you weren't here to do this.
Question back there. Last year I encountered a situation where, and this group, they were tournament shooters, and they were adamant, each one of them in the group, about wanting to see, a show pair person. And I fully agree with everything you said. What I tried to do with the group is get them, particularly if they got stacked up and I had another group behind them sort of waiting. I said, gentlemen, this is where, high bird, low bird, so this is where they're going to cross, and I want everybody to pay attention, and, here I go, and I'm going to press it, I ran into that a couple of times, they were absolutely adamant, so.
They get one show pair per team. And that's kind of,
Fine with me.
no, I mean, but that was kind of ridiculous. If they're tournament shooters, they know that. They know that. But if they think you don't know what's going on, they will pressure you. Don't succumb to that. One show pair per team. And that's it. The shooter gets in there, sees the show pair, say, ready, go live.
I tried to get them all to come up and look. I said,
That second pair, when you throw it, if he doesn't fire in the first shot, it's a lost target.
Right.
That'll stop that really quick. Okay, this time. I would also recommend that they're only going to get 4 shots. They're only going to get 4 shots per station, so it's going to go pretty quick. But if they're standing in the cage, if you can call out the score, all right? First pair goes out, shoots both of them, breaks both of them, dead. Second pair goes out, misses one, dead loss. If that shooter has a question about the score, they need to question you while you're still standing in the stand. That gun comes out and it goes back to the rack, the score stands. It does not get changed afterwards. Because you'll have them over your shoulder going, oh, I hit that one, and now you're trying to score for the next person, and you're being distracted. So if they have an issue with the score, they've got to do it while they're at the stand. Once they leave the stand, the score stands. It doesn't get changed.
I can't remember if you do mulligans or not.
I think he's going to talk about mulligans. I think I'll answer it. It's a good question. They're going to be giving targets because it slows everything up. Okay? Any other questions?
Skip, two things. One, explain that between stations, the guns are open. Very common for them to put their glasses up on a hat and then walk into the station and forget.
I know that.
That's the first thing, but
Yeah.
that's the way to look for it as they enter the station. Second thing is stress the finger up alongside the firearm instead of on the trigger guard. I had a guy last year who slipped at the box. The gun went off because he slipped off the trigger guard and set the gun off.
And that's, stuff like that is going to happen, especially with brand new shooters. You're going to get a lot of shooters in this event that shoot 2 or 3 times a year. They're excited about being there, they're nervous about being watched, they're worried about their score, and that's what your job, make sure that that gun's not loaded when they're walking in the cage. Okay? When they get into the cage and they get up against the rail, then they can load the gun. If they're loading it on the way in, you need to stop them because that's what could happen. They could be loading it, they walk up and they get tripped. We're in the woods. Not everything's like this Florida right there. So just kind of keep an eye for that.
Is every one of these pulls, I think you call it on report, like you pull, they shoot, as soon as you hear the shot, you pull the second?
Yeah, by rule, you have up to 3 seconds. You have up to 3 seconds to throw it when they say pull. You have up to 3 seconds to throw the second one when you hear the gun go off. Now, a lot of your tournament shooters, you expect them before they get the L out of their mouth, they want to see the target. Before they can hear the sound of the gun, they want to see the second one. Okay? You'll have other shooters that are brand new, that are really nervous. You'll see them kind of hunt around. If you see that, kind of give them a little more time to catch that second time.
Okay, so
But we are shooting all the same thing.
It's all report pairs.
It's all report pairs.
Yeah, it's all report pairs. So you kind of judge the shoot. If you want to give them a little time between shots, let them get settled down, that's fine.
Bad play goes out, chopped up on the second shot, let's say, and then a misfire. How do we handle those again?
The misfire?
Misfire and then a bad play that goes out also.
No bird.
No bird.
You got to, if you see that, you got to yell no bird, okay? So you got to yell no bird right away. But if they shoot and you think they hit a piece, give it to them. It's charity, okay? Right? It is charity. We don't want to be bogged down with a lot of official NSCA rules where you got to reshoot this in certain sequence. It's not what this whole event's about. So if a big enough piece comes out and you yell no bird and they shoot it and they hit it, I'd score it.
If you score, they shoot the first one, but the second one breaks on the way out, call no bird, just throw the second one. So we don't do the pair again.
Right.
Just a one, okay? But make sure they only go with one shell.
Right.
And that's where you get in this, that could be the last target of 4, and all of a sudden they got 2 shells in their gun, they're ready with that shot and they want to walk out with a live gun. So that's it.
Okay, each shooter gets 2 shots and he leaves the stand?
4, 2 pairs of 2. 2 pairs of 2.
Okay.
We'll show you when we score. We're going to do a scorecard and we'll show you in a minute.
You just got to watch out for the pump guns and the automatics. Those guns can hold 4 or 5 shells. If they walk up and they read 4 shots, 2 pairs, in their mind it means low 4.
Okay.
They think they're in the dove field. And they're not. Okay. Anybody else?
But you give them the ammunition when they walk in, right? There's not a box sitting in front of the
Stand.
guard, right? When they walk in, you put 4 shot down or you put 2 shot down?
Hey, I've seen volunteers do it both ways. What I'm suggesting is, as they walk up, that first shooter walks up, ask them what gauge they got. If there's a 12 gauge box of ammo there and they got 20, you take the 12 down. If there's a 20 gauge box of ammo and they got a 12, you take the 20 gauge down.
Skip, this might be just a good time in a minute. So Skip's asked for our help with one thing. When you go out to your stations, there are going to be a couple of boxes or cases of shells. What we want to do is we just want to open them up as we need them, not get out there and open them all up when you get there. There's a good chance we may have some left over and we can just take them back when they're closed. Just open up one case, put one case of 20s, one case of 12s near you. As your shooter comes in, you see they're shooting 12 or 20, you take one of the boxes and put it on the rail of the cage. And then you can just substitute that box as you go along through the day. Skip's point was a lot of times you see a station host take a box of 12s and 20s and put them up and let them shoot them till they're gone. And Skip's just a little concerned that that 20 will go right into 12. So he's just saying just as an easy step, if they're shooting a 12, what gauge you shooting 12 gauge, put the box of 12 up, make sure the 20's not up. You'll have more, probably more 12 gauge shooters and 20 gauge shooters out there anyway. But again, just open them up as you go along. And then the other part of this, I would just say, you're out there as hospitality, and y'all have the best reputation in town, actually, of being great hosts. Our shooters love you. We don't want you to do the heavy lifting. If you're having a problem, we've got our telephone numbers on every scorecard. You call us, we'll come resolve the problem. As far as the glasses and the earplugs, that's just a reminder. But if you run into somebody obstinate, don't feel like you got to take that challenge on by yourself. Just call. We'll get into it a little bit. It's supposed to be a fun day, like Skip said. If somebody says, I knocked a chip off of that, say, you sure did. Mark it up. So, we're not out there to enforce any rules or anything else. We're out there to help them have fun.
If they didn't hit a chip, it'll show up in the shoot off anyhow. But to go a little bit farther with Jim's thing, a lot of the volunteers over the last few years will want to open up the whole flat of 12 gauge and tear all the individual box tops off. We don't do that. At the end of the day, we're up there trying to pick these up. Okay? And as we pick them up, we got loose shells coming out of the boxes everywhere. So if you would just open the box you're using, right, a box of 12s and a box of 20s, and then progress that way, I know you think you're saving time, but at the end of the day, you're actually creating an issue for us trying to gather them all back up so that we can put them back in the box, so that when we buy them back and somebody at our club comes and they go to buy them, they say, what's that box man torn open for? They think there's something suspicious there. So it makes it easier for us to transport and pick them up at the end of the day, and less likely that you're going to slide a 20 gauge into a 12 gauge gun. The other thing is you'll see some of the tournament shooters, if you put a box up there, they'll reach in there, they'll grab a handful and put them in their pocket. Okay? And they want to have them when they get to the next station. It's not a big deal other than the fact that all of a sudden we get a phone call, I'm on station 4 and I'm out of ammo. Well, how could you be out of ammo when everybody else around you has the same amount? Because these guys are wanting to put them in the pocket, but that's what they're used to doing. And believe me, there's some people out there that see a shotgun shell, they got to shoot. They just got to shoot.
Last year too, I ran into a couple of shooters that they don't like that ammo. They got their double A's. So same token.
Knock their socks off.
Exactly.
Saves us money.
That's more we get back.
Let's keep, are you done?
Yeah, so I want to thank you
Let's
all.
keep going.
I want to thank you all for volunteering.
All right, if you have questions or comments, we want to hear them. Just save them until we get through this slide, get everyone out as soon as possible. Moving on to station management, I'll let Jim come up here and run over it real quick.
All right, this is the easy part. We got 17 stations. We put 2 of you on each station. Your job during the day is just to make sure everybody has a good time while making sure everybody stays safe. I think we've been over most everything, but couple of things to note, and Jenna, just please confirm we're going to do it. Are we going to do the name tag the same way where we notate where they start, AM, PM on their name tag? Every year we have a couple of people show up to the wrong place. When you're starting, just the first group that comes through, if you could just confirm that on their name tag that they say, if you're on the Baden-Powell, the 1910 course, which you're assigned to, just make sure that their name tag says they're in the right place and at the right station. Okay? So whichever station you're at, if they're on their name tag, it will say John Smith, Baden-Powell, 5B, and that means he starts on station 5 in the second group. Just make sure everybody shows up at the right place, if you will. Every year we kind of run into that. John's already mentioned that we have 17 stations, 2 people per station, 1 person to pull, one person to keep score. Just divide those responsibilities, please. Don't try to do both of them. One person, again, the puller, it's real easy. When that team comes up, first thing you do is say, welcome, keep the chit chat short so we can keep it moving, and get them in the gate. When they're all four standing around the gate, and that's what they'll do, the first shooter will stand directly in the gate, the other three will crowd behind him, you'll show him a pair. He'll say pull, when he says pull, you push the first one. He'll probably go pull, you hit the button, he'll go bang, then you hit the button again, and he'll go bang. That's just them telling you, that's them assessing where they want to shoot, and let you know a little bit about how that flows. After that, the first person will shoot. Again, the only column that's relevant to you is the column where your station is for the day. So you're going to score one column the entire day, okay? So if you're on station 5, just try to hit the 5th column. Believe it or not, every year we have people on station 5 scoring cards on station 1. It's really just score whatever column you are that day. And we're going to get in a little more of that in just a minute. And then, again, it's supposed to be fun. These people are paying a generous amount of money to participate and support the scouts. We want them to have a good time. We want them to come back. Help them be comfortable. Help them have a good time. Safety is important because, like Skip said, these are firearms and things can get out of hand. You know, when they go bad, they go bad. So we want it to be fun. But again, that's why John and I, and we have another, where's John? Is he? John McCaskill in the back in the blue shirt will be out there with us. And then Skip, you'll have our numbers to get us throughout the day. Did I leave anything out?
That's good.
Do you want to swim?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. All right, so now y'all should have the scorecards. Awesome. Okay, so puller. After a shooter shoots, if he misses the first one, hits the second one. You'll say dead for a dead bird. That means he broke the clay. And then a lost bird. That means that bird flew off into the woods.
And you want to say it out loud.
Say it out loud so he hears you. And if he does want to contest it, he can contest it at that time. You can also say hit or miss, but dead lost sounds more like you know what you're doing. So mulligans. For some of you who have shot in other tournaments, we sell mulligans. It's basically a gimme shot. We don't actually have a physical mulligan ticket that they hand to you to take an extra shot. If they buy 2 mulligans, they get 2 shots, just automatically. You just add it at the beginning of the day.
So you don't have to do anything with mulligans. It's done for you.
Yeah, that's a true.
If they ask you about mulligans, if they pay for it, you tell them they already got the shots. Then we'll add it to the score.
It's a true gimme. So here's the scorecard. Each scorecard, I believe, Jenna, correct me if I'm wrong, will have highlighted column. So the first group at Station 5 will walk up, and if you're the volunteer on Station 5, we highlight it for you, because it's very easy to miss. I've done it myself quite a few times. So you want to start in whatever column you're going to be at. So if you're at Station 1, you start at Station 1, 5, 5. So first shooter steps up, hits both targets. That might be a little hard for you all to see, but those are 2 X's across the top. Of course, you have them in your hand too. Next pair, he misses one, misses the first one, hits the second one. So he gets an O, which means represents a whole target. An X, that's a broken target. And then at the bottom box, we'll just add up what he shot. And that just helps our scoring team. Helps them run through and add up all the scores quickly once the scorecards get back to the main field. So that's what a scorecard looks like filled out for a team. Full scorecard. If you can, add up all the numbers on the bottom row of each shooter's score and just total it at the far bottom right. Again, just for it helps the scoring team move fast. Let's see. So that's scoring. Any questions on scoring? Okay. Yes.
Excuse me for this, but, okay, you see the 4 shots made, you detect 1 or 2 or however many. Does it matter which one you mark down relative to which one it was that actually got shot?
It does. That's a great question. So if a shooter wants to contest a shot, if you mark, let me take a step back. So the second pair, he missed the first, hit the second. If he did XO, then he says, oh, I hit that second shot. So great question. You do want to mark it in sequential order. Any other questions? Yes.
Are the shooters bringing you these things?
They'll be.
They'll go out with you all at the beginning,
Okay.
right? So we'll take the scorecards and give them to you when you're having your meeting with John, and so you'll take them, but then they take them from station to station.
Yeah. So just to clarify, when y'all come register, we'll sign you in, we'll give you hats, ear protection, whatever you need. We're also going to give you a clipboard with the first 2 teams' scorecards. And so you will walk out to the stations with that first team. Then when they leave, they'll take the cards with them for the rest of the day. The next team that comes up to your station, they'll have their cards. And so you just ask for them.
And there are at least 2 teams on the day in the morning and afternoon that start on every station. There could be 3 for a couple of stations. So, they'll be labeled like you see up there at Team 5B, starting station 5B. It could be 5A, 5B, 5C. If they want to shuffle, we don't really care if C goes first, if A agrees to it or whatever. But the main thing is just make sure you get the right, card and send them off with it.
It'll already have their names on it.
It will.
And do they have to go in their order 1, 2, 3, 4? Or they
Nope. However they want to, just make sure that whoever's keeping score, that they make sure whoever steps into the box, ask them, is your name John Smith or Aaron Rodgers or whatever. Yeah. So.
If they miss the first one and hit the second one, do you still call dead first?
Mm-hmm.
Dead and lost?
Yeah, it's in the order.
At the end of the day,
It's lost dead.
It's lost dead. You call them in the order of what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, everybody has hearing protection, so if you're just talking, they're not hearing a thing you're saying.
And put it out there because they're going to want to hear it. When they shoot, don't be timid, don't go dead lost, because they're wanting to know anyway. So just call it out and call it loudly. They'll tell you if they disagree with you or somebody else may disagree with you. Don't worry about it. Just call it so they know what you're writing down.
Yeah, if they're missing all of them, maybe tone it back. But you can tell the serious shooters when they step up. Make sure they hear. They'll let you know if they got the show.
Yeah, John, at the end of the day, the last team, you collect their scorecards and we bring them back to you, right?
Is that how we're doing it this year?
We have a problem with that every year. We bounce around. We're not going to try to strictly enforce anything because a lot of people want to go through their scorecards as they walk in. We do have people standing at the edge of the field to collect them as they come in. So, we'll tell you on the morning of the shoot whether we want you to proactively try to collect them or not. But that we've yet to, again, that's one of our struggles every year. I'd like to take your card. I'd like to count it on the way back. Have fun. So we'll be a little more informative in terms of that in the morning of the shoot.
Yes.
One of the things that the scorekeeper can help us with, we're going to ask everybody to stay in rotation. So we start on station 5 and then end on station 4.
That's important because last year somebody was shooting backwards.
Yes.
Literally, they were coming backwards and they joked about it. Please ask them to go.
And so if they walk up to you and you're on station 5, and you notice that the last station they shot was 1, it means they've been skipping stations. You don't have to be the enforcer, but you need to let us know so we can stop the potential bottleneck so that they, for some reason, they decide, I want to go over here and shoot. On the one course, the stations are across the street from each other, so it's easy to say, well, that one's
shoot. And then before you know it, 3 stations later, we've got bombs. So if you see that, they walk up, they got blank stations where they should have shot before they got to me. One of us knows so we can correct that before it becomes an issue. Don't expect you to fix it. You can kind of give us a heads up if we do it.
Speaking of, and I don't know if I missed this or whether we said it, when it comes to the equipment, that is a direct call to either John or me that will then get skipped. If you run out of clays in the machine, do not try to go restock them. If you're pushing the button and nothing's happened, don't go jiggle wires. Give us a call, we'll get somebody there immediately. Those things are dangerous. You can get hurt pretty easily. And also, in terms of, I think Skip did mention this, if there is a misfire with a gun, they need to keep that gun pointed through that gate. And if you need help, call. We don't want you trying to solve problems out there. Not like that. But definitely don't mess with the equipment. If the machines go, batteries are down, these things happen. That's why sometimes people shoot and skip stations. They get up to a station and see 4 teams waiting, and they say, well, I'm just going to keep on going. We'll be there to kind of direct that kind of traffic, but please don't try to solve it.
Okay. Any more questions on scoring? Yes.
What's the dress code?
No dress code.
Business casual.
And I was going to get to that in a minute, but since you brought it up, guys, it's late October. Anything could happen. So bring layers, okay? It may be cold in the morning, but it'll probably be pretty hot by the end of the afternoon. So dress in layers, have some stuff to peel off as it warms up.
You'll want, some of the stations are going to get hit with early morning sun, so bring some sunglasses and maybe a hat. I'd encourage you to, what's that?
Chair. Bring a chair.
Bring a chair if you want a chair. Field chair is fine. You can bring a little portable cooler if you want to take some bottled water to the stand with you. We'll have them out there. John, as John said, layer up. You might want to have a little rain slicker or something in case we hopefully won't get wet. But just come prepared. What's that?
It's the scouts, be prepared.
That's right. That's right.
Uniforms? If you want to.
If you got more than 2 knots on your uniform, yes. No, I'm just joking. If you are involved and want to wear the uniform, that's great. We're very proud of what we do as an organization, and we don't mind showing people how we support them, and people will enjoy talking to you about what you do with them. So absolutely, if you feel like wearing your uniform, do so. Otherwise, just dress for comfort.
Yep. So just to go over the kickoff party again, it's a great evening. Auction, food, booze, what more could you want? We are selling raffle tickets for a Caesar Guarini gun and something else, right? Or
150 gallons of gas.
okay. So, yeah, so you can pick up your tickets to the event at the table, and you can buy raffle tickets as well if you like.
It's a fun night for you to come spend time with us. I hope you all can make it. Encourage your friends to come because, again, it is part of how we raise money to support this cause. We'd love to see you there. And if you have friends, we'll send you a link to our auction. I might as well evangelize this thing and push it out there.
NWSA.org.
Yeah, we're going to have our auction will be online if you want to share it with friends. We do have some fun items. Again, we could use all the help we can in getting the word out, so feel free to share it with friends.
Will there be an auction at the luncheon time, the barbecue? Will any auction items be displayed?
I think it'll be the raffle. I think that's when one of the raffle items will be drawn. Just a recap, so it's at Barnsley Gardens. We'll send directions out to you in another email blast. I assume everyone's getting the email blast. Sometimes you get spam filter, whatever. Good. Let's see.
Do we have any more rooms in the block? If people want to stay on Thursday?
There are Thursday night. If you want to stay at Barnsley Gardens, they've discounted the rate to $225. But they're gorgeous rooms, and so it's a fun night if you want to come up Thursday night and be there first thing in the morning.
We have a nice bonfire that night. You can come join us and hang out around the bonfire. But
so I think that is is it, unless there are any other questions hanging out there. If there are, go ahead and throw your hand up. None? We're done. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Y'all the best. Thank you.